have someone who wants to break down the emotional and introspective side of music.
I don't think there's a lot of people who really try to do that in a way that is genuine. I think a lot of people do that in a way that's like, how can I get this content? Instead of like, let's actually talk like human beings and then let's see what happens. I want to have the breathing room to be able to really talk about these things that so deep, so visceral. It's everything that I am. I want to introduce the show because usually I just talk about how to fight for your life and what does music mean to you? How does it help you with the struggle? And then I help people identify a problem, come up with tools to solve the problem, and then methods to implement different ways of the tools, and then all the things that could go wrong. So plan A, B, and C, and such. And then that last 5%, we've talked about that before, but that last 5% is actually following through and finishing strong. Like you go to the goal, kick the ball, you can get all the way right in front of the goalie and then not kick the ball and then not go in and nothing happened. Like you work your tail off to try and get the ball down the thing. But, if you don't punch it in, then it was all for nothing. That's how, we create sort of positive feedback loops. And that's how we create better opportunities for ourselves. And guess what? When we're better, the passive, if you play video games, you'll understand what I'm saying, or the unintended consequences in a positive way is that other people in your life will be better off as well because they see you doing better. And chances are either jealousy or genuine happiness for you motivates them to keep up with you. And I think that's really important. So enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest for the day. It's Meeky Tee. What's up, brother?
Everything's up in the air all the time.
Everything's up in the air all the time.
Yep, I'm doing my best to try to catch something.
Awesome. I found you on Twitch, which thank you. Appreciate you, Tommy. Oh, my camera's with the thing. Anyways, doesn't matter. And so for those of you who are watching this later, there's some chatters in the chat room over here. Anyways, so we're on Twitch and we're talking about how I found you on Twitch. And when I saw you, it wasn't just that. It was actually Tommy that introduced me to you. And he's like, hey, you should, check this person out. And I was like, let's go, let's do it. And then I saw you and Jane doing the shit show, if you will. And I was waiting for the shit, and I never got the shit. That's right. That's right. I never got the shit. I never got it. I got a great show. I enjoyed every second of it. It was great. So for the listeners who are just discovering you, give us a brief rundown of who you are as an artist and how you would describe the sound you're putting out into the world right now.
Yep, I'm Meeky Tee. That's my artist name. My real name's not interesting, hence I made an artist name. I spent most of my life absolutely obsessed with punk rock. One of my main idols is Fat Mike from NoFX, and what that man did was bring to light to me the ethos of punk rock, of DIY punk rock. So I am DIY in a lot of sense that everything that I do and everything I try to create has come from this brain. There's no one else behind the scenes. Everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm creating is me. I embrace the flaws. I embrace the scrappiness and the chaos and the poor quality, and live in that era of the early 90s skate punk that I grew up with, where being perfect isn't important,
Right.
It's all about the feelings and the emotions, and with a strange mix of also not giving a fuck what other people think, you know, and that being your main attitudinal standpoint. You know, it doesn't matter what people think. You go out there and you do what you love, and you create. You find people that respond to you, and you find people that resonate with you in, you know, on that same ethos. That, you know, they just want to be appreciated for who they are and not overly judged. You know, so when it comes to the sound I'm putting out into the world, it is that it's a strange mix of, you know, mostly punk rock influenced, but also, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff in there where I just do whatever the fuck I feel like doing when I'm doing it, and let that be what speaks for itself. Obviously, I struggle a lot with trying my best not to overthink things while I'm doing that, and that creates a little internal conflict. Outside of that, though, I mean, I think you said it at the start, you know, I'm just trying my best to be me, you know, and live my best life as me. There's big stories behind that, but it's really important to me that I just embrace my own personal identity and just be that person and turn up as that person, and for the most part, have a lot of fucking fun while I'm doing it.
I love that. I was impressed with like how you sort of combined not giving a fuck with like you being actually good. Because, you know, when I watch you play sometimes, you know, on stream, I'm like, you know, if he dialed this in a little bit and really tried, yeah, no, I know. I didn't knew you were going to make that face. And so I was like, if he tried dialing this in a little bit, you know, but like but it does remind me of like one of the first concerts I went to was Foo Fighters, their very first album. And he, Dave Grohl or whatever was smoking a cigarette, and he put the cigarette in the head of his guitar strings. Yeah. And sang, and then when it was his time not to sing, he put it back in, you know. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen a dude do that before. Let's go.
That's a Slash move.
A Slash? That's a Slash move? Okay.
Yeah, I think Slash, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Slash was the original person that would do that. Constantly smoking throughout the concert and would store it in the headstock.
That makes sense. The hat and everything, you know? Some people, you know, and I think it's like people look at that as like the eccentric or whatever, and then people like, but like really it's kind of what you just talked about with no effects, and just kind of just living out loud, like literally, like just being in the moment, which is super important, because I get in my head a lot about the past and about the future. And I think one of the things I like the most about like watching what you're doing is it does seem like you're very much in the moment. And I think that's maybe why you call it the shit show a little bit, is because like you're like, yeah, I'm in the moment, so I may make a fucking mistake, but you know, go fuck yourself if you don't.
Well, yeah, the way it turned around and why I embraced it is a friend of mine, also a streamer, Lady Lizzie. She said, you know, you just take shit and turn it into a show, you know.
Oh,
and she wasn't trying to be eloquent or anything like that, but it resonated with me because it was the whole, you know, yeah, I'm just doing whatever the fuck. I don't.
It's a vibe.
Overthink it. I just do what I want to do. I don't know how it's going to turn out until I do it. But you know, it's that whole. Okay, that's cool. I can get behind that idea that I'm just essentially just doing whatever. You know, just doing whatever. You know, that whole thing. That's shit. Like there's shit everywhere. There's shit all over the floor. You know, you don't need to put a name on what the things actually are. But if you refer to them as shit, it applies to everything. So,
agreed.
You know, That's the thing. I'm just taking shit, whatever shit I feel like it is, or what I want to do today, and I'm trying to turn it into a show.
Well, I mean, I legitimately enjoy it. I mean, I wouldn't. Here's another thing too: is like I think some people are on autopilot sometimes, and I think that they're just like they feel like it feels like they feel like they're just doing a thing to be nice. But people are taking time, and I say this when I'm on my stream. I'm like, yo, we have a finite amount of time on this planet. And so that means that you're deciding to spend some of that time with me right now. And that means a lot to me because I know firsthand how fast that can go away over and over and over again. A lot of people have dealt with loss in their life, and maybe we talked blood, but I'm just saying that like people choose, people choose to be with you. And that's amazing to me. Because there's
100% and choose to come back all the time and choose to support you on a range of platforms and choose to, time is money. Like there's no way to escape that fact. So they choose to invest, the money that they've spent time earning on you as well.
Yeah.
And it's time on top of time on top of time, and they give it to you.
So yeah, so you said who you were as an artist. I'm gonna try to be the best I can as far as the host goes. And that you're the second guest that I've had. The first one was a little self-serving, but this is one that's truly. I like you. We're friends. I like Jane a lot. I like you guys a lot. I think
Jane a lot too.
I think what you guys do is really cool, but it just seems like finding Tommy and finding other people like that who are genuine and who are genuine, but they want to share that with other people, I think is respectable, because there's a lot of people who ask me offline, they're like, how do I be personable? How do I be all these kinds of things? And I'm just like, yo, that shit takes practice. I can just tell, man, like you're a guy, you're like one of my guys. Like I would hang out with you, I would talk to you, help you through a tough time or celebrate with you during your best of times. And so for me, this is really cool just to hang. But I'm trying to stay responsible and promote you.
Well, it's all about. I mean, again, not super phased with promotion and stuff like that. Realistically, so to speak into that, I'm all about authenticity.
Yeah.
So be that with the music, and we touched on that little thing earlier about the whole conversation out there with music at the moment is based around AI. Look, I can turn up and you can rest assured and know that there is authenticity in who I am when it comes to the music. I do everything myself. I'll sit down and I'll do it all, and you can hear the imperfections, and you can hear my voice, and you can hear all of those things. And it's like pushing shit uphill. That's not necessarily what the world wants at the moment, but it's there for the people who are. And who I'm interested in? I'm interested in the people who are there for.
Yeah. The realism
what it is that I'm into.
So speaking of what you're putting out there, I hope all of you go online. I'll put all of his links in the chat, the description of the video, when this goes out to YouTube and all the rest. Would you tell me a little bit about how you perceive your style? Because I know when I get asked the question about like what genre, like what do you make? Like I'm just like, I don't think there's a lot of people who are doing my thing. I don't know if you feel the same way or if you kind of, I don't know. So you tell me.
The style of music?
Yeah, or like genre or whatever,
Yeah, look, it's here. It's on my sleeve. This is it. This is all of my influences. This is everything that I've ever learnt about making music is here on my sleeve. And that goes all the way up and around and down my back. So,
nice.
If you want if you want to hear little Chili Peppers or AFI or NoFX or a bit of Strung Out or Tenacious D, comedy, or you got Offspring, Offspring riffs, all of that kind of stuff. If you want some, maybe just I'm not that good, but a little bit of Metallica style lead guitars here and there, like all those little influences in my music.
I love that.
I'm not trying to create anything specifically. As much as I am deeply in love with skate punk and pop punk and that whole style of music, as much as it is generally all that I would put on and listen to, and makes me happy, it doesn't mean that that's generally what I'm trying to create. And in saying that as well, I'm also not trying to create anything new.
Okay.
I just want to exist. So
yeah, just in the space.
There's a big difference between wanting to create something for the sake of others and creating something for the sake of yourself. So, I create music for the sake of me, for my personal ambitions and for my legacy, or whatever you want to call it, my reasons to exist are based around making music.
You give me the good stuff right out of the gate. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
And realistically, the self-serving side of that comes down to it is what I really want is I want to leave that lasting impression that music has left for me. That someone's life was made better, or that some part of someone's life was better because they listened to a song of mine and it resonated with them.
So in that line, I freak people out a lot because I was, last year, 8 o'clock is when it started. It just happened to be that way. I did my first show, and it was called, the theme and the purpose was called Fighting for Your Life. And I had people who were current, and then post chemotherapy there. I had people who were unsheltered and unhoused. I had people who would eventually become, leaders in the community. I had sponsorships from nonprofits and community organizer groups, and they work with veterans, they work with non-veterans. I had people all over the spectrum come out with a lot of legwork, and I don't want to talk about myself, I'm just using this as an example. And I during the show was telling people that every day is a fight for your life, and whether you want it to be or not, because of entropy, is that every day the universe is doing two things. One, it's giving you the opportunity to continue to live if you participate, and meaning that your body's got to, and your mind's got to, and the rest. But there's this thing called entropy that's going to slowly pull you apart eventually, and it's always there. And you gotta fight. You gotta make the right choices. You gotta be consciously aware of yourself. You gotta constantly sort of be in this place. And a lot of people are like, well, that sounds like you're struggling from PTSD or all these other kind of stuff, and you're stuck in fight or flight mode, flight or freeze mode. And while I see that argument, I also convey that it's like, but what I'm saying is not true. Meaning that, like, there's taxes, there's bills. I need food, I need water, I need all these things, and nobody's going to do that for me. I got to do that myself, and as it were. And so I ask people, why are you? What's your purpose? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? And that's what I was talking about earlier with the people in the community, your community spending time with you. I watch you when I'm winding down. And getting ready to go to bed because of our time zone differences and everything. And which is kind of funny. It's a kind of a weird show to watch if you're trying to wind down, I must say. And you guys bring my anger level down. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you for that. But I usually ask people now, what are you fighting? But like, what's your purpose in life? Like, why are you doing this thing? And you kind of alluded that just a moment ago, that this is something, and I think we've talked about this before. This is something of a legacy of something that you want other people to hear, and a way to almost like carve your name in the tree and say you were here, you know, or like
Yeah.
like a version of that.
We all make decisions. You know, we all make decisions every day about who we want to be and what we want to turn up as. You know, I am actively making that decision that I don't want to reach the end of my entropy line and end up feeling like I didn't try my best to be the person that I wanted to be and achieve the life I wanted to be.
Right.
You know, it's you see it out, you know, we're in the music community, we see it out there a lot, you know, a lot of people wishing that they could be a musician. And this goes for lots of people wishing they could be something or wishing they could do something. So there's nothing stopping you, you know, that's the thing. So that's kind of what I live by, the whole, there isn't anything stopping me but me. So if I can, you know, move myself out of the way sometimes, then I can achieve that and I can do that. It might not be in both the results that I'm looking for, or it might not end up, you know, being what I want to make of it, but it doesn't change the fact that I at least get to the end of the line and go, hey, I tried my goddamn fucking hardest to do that, and I couldn't actually have done anything else.
I respect the hell out of you for it, because I sometimes I just don't think people. You're a passionate person, I can tell, and so am I. That's the reason why I can tell. The game recognizes game, and so when I see your your passion poking out, I'm like, yeah, that's where it's at. The fire's there. And that's what I appreciate about you and everything that you just said, how you said it. What has been, sorry, I got to go back on something. So whenever we talk about leaving something behind, for me, I don't have kids. I am not going to have kids. And so a lot of, you know, the thoughts that I have sometimes are like, all the people that I've come across, I've probably come across maybe 100K people in my life, just because the nature of the things that I've done. And I remember every single one of them to the extent by which I can what's physically possible. And I feel like, because I've heard this before, I feel like it's like you die twice. The first time when you actually die, and then the second time when the last person that remembers who you are and what you've done is gone. I think for me, whenever I listen to like that Mafra, there was this girl who just absolutely crushed this Bring Me the Horizon song that I was watching, and she just stood there and delivered it like a champ. I was thinking a lot about that. It's got like 15 million views on YouTube now. I was thinking about how that made me, it inspired me so much. It got into now she's in my mind. I will never forget that moment. And I will never forget, I want to be that for somebody else besides me. Because I think once I proved to myself that I was worth it, that I was good enough for myself, then I could then share how good I think I could possibly go even further. And where I'm at now with other people, I really struggle with communicating with people. So that leads me into this next part. Or what has it been like building your voice in your community digitally, especially navigating the distance from Australia and the rest of the world? So like the time zone difference and everything else like that.
Look, in many ways, in some ways it's been liberating. In other ways, it's been demoralizing. So
all right,
you know, take it back to the start of the story, you know, of me being a musician when way back 2014, 2015, before I had kids and I was in the band, and we were looking very promising. We were on tours, and we were doing stuff, and we were writing music, and we were getting ready to release, first proper EP outside of the demo and all that kind of stuff. There was still a sense of restriction because we're stuck in Australia, and it's something that you only live and experience in Australia when you are here. Is just this is one of the rare places in the world where it's very hard and very expensive to actually go somewhere else. Most of the other countries in the world, you can hop in a car and you can drive somewhere else and experience a whole new culture or experience something new, a different group of people. You can't here. You're talking thousands upon thousands of dollars just to get away from the one thing that and the way it always is.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, it's been really liberating to be like, hey, look, I can just do this online.
Yeah.
That's where I can create my online presence. I keep getting asked by my Australian friends, and they might be joking when they say it, but they're like, Meeky, tour when? And it's like, look, I could definitely make that happen.
Yeah.
I could definitely make that a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to that, original thing that we always think about, the investment of money and time versus the perceived reward that's going to be gained.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's there for it. You know what I mean? Like if I ended up with thousands upon thousands of listeners, if I wrote something that just pulled people in or hit the algorithm properly,
right,
pulled people in, so I knew that people would turn up to my show, I'm still not sure that within this country it would be, feasible to cover the expense of going out and playing shows.
Jeez, that's something I didn't know.
And then you consider the extenuating costs of then taking it somewhere like America, where the music scene is massive and where, there is a culture of people going out of their way to see bands. Like the thing about Australia is that you've got 7 capital cities, and they are each at least 800 kilometers apart.
Got it.
800 kilometers, 500 miles, hours, 7 hours apart.
All right.
At least. So
yeah,
like it's just a massive undertaking. So just being able to come here and feel like I can still play shows and I can do things and I can have the fun that I once had.
That makes sense.
Is liberating. When it comes to time zones and stuff like that, I don't really worry about that. Like, that's a part of when I also say, at the end of my streams, I'll be back whenever the fuck I feel like it. I don't know. Like, I don't have a plan. I don't overthink things.
Right.
I definitely don't worry too much about doing things because it helps other people. Like, in that way of the timing, to turn up on the time that they want me to turn up. And let's put that into perspective. So, just joined a new band. I'm hoping that we can progress past just playing cover songs and looking like we're going to be another pub band. But band practice is at 10 a.m.
All right.
So, like, to get up, have a coffee, get your shit together, but then have your voice warmed up and turn up to a practice and use your voice at 10 a.m. in the morning,
mm-hmm.
isn't kind of, what fills me with the whole, hey, I can do this. This is feasible. It's like, so if we want to head to that place, it's like we also need to figure out how we can do this where we can practice at the time frame that we should be playing. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
This realism of time. We're going to take the realism of time into account. Like, this is the time that this is going to happen. So this is the time, if we're going to practice for it to happen, that's when it's going to happen. So, I mean, Katie's a big one there for it. And she's in that same part of your country that a lot of my other friends are. And same goes for you. It's late right now.
It's later.
But then for me to turn up 8 hours from now and stream, it's really late or it's really early. So, Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's like I can't really work around that. You know, I can't turn up at 9 in the morning because it's reasonable evening hours for all my American friends and be like and hop up and sing and play a show.
Yeah, so to go back on a couple things you said. First thing is there's a price. As someone said, there was a price and a pleasure for every action, and so you got to be willing to pay the price and the pleasure. You know, people always want to think about the pleasure part of it, but there's a price. There's a price that comes with it. It's funny because I came, sort of over this last year, I came off of like playing every other weekend, pretty much in like dive bars and different places. DJ related things. I think exposure to different classes of people, exposure to different cultures, exposure to different geographical locations, which is a big part of my story anyways. So people always want to think about like the positive side of this thing. People always want to think about like, if you go on a trip, they're like, oh, we're going to go on a trip, but then you got to pack and you got to do this and you got to do that. And then you inevitably end up seeing an argument pop out because, they're like, did you bring this thing? No, I didn't bring that thing, and all this other kind of stuff. And it's the same thing with musicians. When you get a bunch of people who are creatives together, it can be really amazing. For some reason, I've never seen an in between. I've either seen it be really amazing and everybody work together well, or it just be like the road trip from hell. And so I don't think enough people really sort of, musicians in particular, really understand what it's like to sort of really want the pleasure side and completely diminish in their mind, even if they think about it, but still diminish it in their mind, the price that you have to pay for what you're doing.
Look, I recently read Fahrenheit 182, which is Mark Hoppus's book. And he said something in there that resonated with me, which was in those moments of playing with Blink and writing those songs, it felt like capturing lightning in a bottle.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, okay.
Not something that, you could recreate or you could try to do again. It just happens.
Right.
And it's just this long line of, and talking about the way that, Blink came to be the massive band that they are, still, like he says in there, still doesn't make sense to him. It doesn't make sense how that his band, that band, ended up on that trajectory and ended up where they are. So it's just that thing of, it's not something that you can grab onto, and it's not something that you can feel like you can control. It's just something that happens. Organizing my life into time frames and then proceeding to not do it at all, ever, in the slightest. So, I'm celebrating at the moment, and I've thrown my last assignment in for an 8-year-long bachelor's degree that I've been working on. And when we talk about time, so, that was one of 4 things that took up a massive chunk of my time.
Yeah.
Every single time that a uni semester came along, that was a massive chunk of my time.
Oh, yeah.
So, for me, it's always been uni. Uni.
I deserve it sometimes. You can put it in the bank.
Uni, family. Family's not going to change. Family always deserves the time. Music, which isn't going to change, always deserves the time. And then there's work. So, again, for the last 7 years, I'd worked full-time, 40 hours a week.
Jeez.
Just so much time.
Yeah.
But then pushing to the end of the degree and getting the pay that comes with that, I've now cut myself back to 7 days a fortnight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm trying to spread the time out more because, I can't, for me and myself, and feeling like I'm achieving something, which is, and I've heard you have that, say that about for motivation as well, is sometimes you can't make motivation, but if you have the time to start something, it leads to motivation.
True.
So I'm trying to just give myself more time to do the things that I want to do instead of, sitting here and coming home from work and being like, oh, I've only got 3 hours. That's not enough time to do that. So
I see. Yeah. Well, you kind of went into the other part of it, which is like take us into your workflow. And when you sit down to write a new song, what does that process look like? Does the melody come first? Do the lyrics come first? Like, how do you?
All right, jump into my wheelhouse, are we? We're going to jump in my wheelhouse. Okay, so look.
Hey, I could talk to you forever if I don't do a good job of keeping myself on track.
Yeah.
This is going to last the next 4 hours. This is going to last until you're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
That's probably not going to happen. Look, I play guitar for a long time. I've only just started singing, but I have a decent singing voice.
Yeah, you do.
I have all of these things.
Yep.
But when it comes down to who I am and who I want to be and what I want to create, it is songwriting. So what I am is a damn good songwriter. I've shown that over the years with all the different projects that I've been in, and I've done all of that. I can hear the potential of my songwriting, and that's what I focus on. So to bring that back into it, I wrote my first song in 2001, and I've been writing songs religiously since then. Let's just go for a bit of an example. So there is no one way or another.
Okay.
Where's what I'm looking for? Here's what I'm looking for. So my notes in my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these lyric ideas.
Yeah. Same.
You know, that's just things I pick up along the way.
Same.
Let alone my notepad on the computer, which has, I'm looking at it right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tabs where I've laid out songs that I feel are good enough to go on albums. And then there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tabs of song ideas, whether they be riffs, whether they be lyric ideas, whether they be vocal melodies, you know, whether they're just the name of a song. And I'm like, okay, that song title sounds cool. Hey, Buzz. Buzz is always just sick of everyone else.
Yeah.
Hence why he's so stabby. You know, there's no right or wrong way. I have found that the best success that I can have, and this is where the hard part is, and this is where the hard line is to it. So to sit down and write a song acoustically is where you get the feeling and emotion in. So that's where you can write something poetic, and you can sit down and you can only 8, Katie. That's 8. That's a tab. That's 8, and within that tab is 20 different sets of notes. Just
You're like, I'm gonna stop this whole show, and I'm gonna look over at that comment and be like, "You shut your damn mouth," because
okay. It's taking the piss anyway. So yeah. Anyway, sorry. Back to songwriting. So I feel like my most meaningful songs, like I'll sit down with some meaningful lyrics and I'll work them together. The problem with that is you don't necessarily get yourself a hook, you know, and unfortunately this is where it's at. So this is the thing. To write a song with a hook in it is where, you know, you're writing a song that grabs people's attention. Because unfortunately, you know, it's this existence of two worlds. This existence of writing music that people want to listen to again. And typically that means you need to create an earworm, you know, a hook or an earworm that makes people go, I want to hear that part again because it's stuck. So writing hooks for me is really like, obviously writing guitar hooks and riffs is easy. I could probably do that to anything. And any set of chords or any structure that you gave me, but writing a vocal melody that is, you know, hooky and catchy is where it's at. So sporadically, I'll just have things come into me and be lyrics, and then I'll hear a vocal melody, and then I'll grab out my phone, I'll grab out the voice recorder, and I'll record that vocal melody, and then I need to write entire songs around that. But for the most part, that's not what I enjoy the most. What I enjoy the most is sitting down and writing that really meaningful song and just letting it be whatever it ends up being. fuck. And then the process part of it, shit, man. Like, you're not wrong. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I mean, we could have a whole nother conversation about efficiency and workflow as well, because like,
yeah, I'll have you on again. We'll talk about that.
But like, yeah, so just putting a song down, putting a scratch recording down, and then having something that you can just practice over so you can get it really tight. And this is the hardest part, because when you're with a band, that's fun. When you're with a band, rehearsal studio, and practicing your songs, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so fun, and Mary said it before, the work side of it lacks the fun. So sitting there and working and just practicing the same thing over and over and over again is just it. That's where you lose the fun, and that's where I lose a lot of my motivation to push my songs out.
I see.
And then, you know, you get them to the point, and then you get excited again, because I'm like, okay, I'm final tracking, I'm doing all this, you know, I know how to play it the way I want to play it, I know how I want it to sound, I can put it all down, I can record it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do all of that, and then it comes to having that final recording and knowing what changes you've made or what things that you've made that then you need to go and restart that whole process again with the vocals, you know, and you need to go over the vocals, you need to practice your vocals, and you get all those tight and get all those locked in. And then you do that, and then there's the mixing, which is I need to figure out a way to have mixing not take more time than anything else, because the creative process is the best part, and the mixing process isn't fun. And you know, I've mentioned that to you before. I want to release this EP that I'm doing, and then I want to move to the next EP and see if I can throw the mixing and producing out to other people who might be willing to help me throw some songs together, because not only will I learn more, but I'll also be able to just take that whole stupidly long time consuming portion of making music and put it down. You know, and just learn to trust that, you know, whatever way it turns out is, you know, just as good, if not better, than what I can do. And then mastering, throwing it through, and then the next big thing, which is another mix of fun, which is the marketing. So, you know, what kind of videos do you make for it? What do you push for it? You know, reels and clips and different ways of giving that song an opportunity to go out there and breathe on its own and exist on its own, which is the part that I generally fail at the most, and what I'm hopefully looking forward to finding more time into doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's and this is something I say a lot. So, and this we did it on your stream before. You want to know if a band is AI, or you know, you want to know if a band is AI. If you want to know if music is AI, because no one's out there actually pushing it, because it didn't. No one put the time and effort into it to feel like they had to push it the whole way through and do that final 5%, which is make sure that the song has legs. You go out there and see they don't have socials, and the song hasn't been pushed in anywhere.
Right.
No self-respecting musician is going to spend the months that it takes to even put one song together and then not push it somehow, you know, and not market it somehow. So
I totally agree with that. Something I wanted to say that made me laugh really hard earlier was I was thinking mixing is like the taxes of making music. It's
yeah, and the worst part about it is you don't always get a refund either.
No. But you know,
sometimes you end up in deficit and left feeling like, fuck, now I need to start the whole song again because I don't know what the fuck I've done, but it just ended up not being what I wanted it to be.
100%. And I found that in my research and in looking more into this stuff, the more and more I got into actually, you know, going the steps further into music, is some of the best bands that I've ever heard are coupled up with the producers and mixers and engineers that just they got it. Like they got it. Like you know, I think we hear it a lot. Yeah, same with mastering as well. I mean, to me, mixing and mastering kind of goes into that bucket because it's an art form, but it's not the art, right? Like it's like you have everything that leads up to that, and then that's like a whole other art thing. And yeah. And so I think that like I just wanted to comment on that because I didn't want to let that go, because it's like it does. It's like it's soul sucking, as well as it's also you feel like, you know, with the latest update or with like a new plug, like you know, then you're pulled in all these different directions. Like, oh, you need to try this, you need to try that, you need to try this. So if you find somebody who just gets it and gets your sound and what you're going for, I mean, well, it's almost like finding a life partner or something. It's just one of the greatest feelings ever, because you know you're not having to settle. Because you know, like we both know when we have to settle in our heads. We're like, look, this person, this is they're only able to do this thing. I've asked them to change it a couple of times, they did, and it's still not right what I was looking for. So I just got to settle. But if you don't have to do that, oh, that's where it's at least for me anyway.
Well, I mean, you're 100% right, and it's like I do spend a lot of time following and idolizing musicians that that have influenced me. So it's like, you know, when Anthony Kiedis, you know, admits that Rick Rubin is the fifth member of the Chili Peppers because they couldn't make a proper Chili Peppers album without Rick Rubin behind the desk.
Yeah.
You know, when is it ain't Tom DeLonge and Angels and Airwaves? I can't remember his name, but you know, him saying that the reason that Angels and Airwaves sounds the way that it does is because this producer came in and actually took his crazy ideas and ran with them, you know, to create something different.
Right.
John Feldman, you know, singer and guitarist of Goldfinger. The fact that, you know, if that he single-handedly brought out the emo revolution, you know, and these original Used and My Chemical Romance albums and all of these things wouldn't have existed unless John Feldman brought them in the studio and produced that stuff to sound the way that it does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's an art form on its own. It's the acceptance that I'm the person on the other side, though.
You're a part.
Yeah, but if I walked into the studio and I looked for where my spot would be, it's on the other side of the glass. It's not on the desk side of the glass. It's
right.
the other side of the glass.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that that's where I want to be, which makes going to that desk side of the glass hard because you're always sitting there looking at the other room, which you just want to be in there and you just want to go in there and do that work in there. That's where you want to be.
So true. So true. Holy yes. Well, we talked a lot about your struggles of and I call them struggles. I'm not saying you're on the struggle bus. I'm just saying that, you know, there's things that you came across. What was your hardest obstacle, or like the hardest thing that you've had to overcome, either in music or life or both?
Look, dude, this is a story. So
I'm here for it.
All right. So, you know, if anyone out there ever delved into my lyrics, you'd find a lot out there. But look, let's make long story short. So my mum died when I was 2.5. Dad remarried 6 months later. Didn't really comprehend how all of that happened. Obviously, I was really young, but I spent the first, you know, 8 years of my life, and I don't have memories of being younger than 8 years old. So I am kind of disassociated with what childhood feels like. And, you know, essentially that childhood trauma coming through, which led into, you know, the teenage years of not having a very good sense of self-identity and self-worth, you know, due to that beforehand. So leading into 20s of having drug problems and living in escapism through all of that, and then the attempts, self attempts on my life and things like that to get through that because everything was too hard. You know, that's where the big struggle kind of came to, and I'd like to say that it stopped, but it essentially it didn't. Things kind of kept going, and I just felt like, you know, there's a thing that I've always relied on and believed in to help me, which is that the universe is constantly testing you, you know, and how you turn up, and the moment between stimulation and response You know what I mean? However that saying goes, I can't remember it right now. But, you know, everyone has a moment between stimulation and response to decide who they want to be. So, I mean, even that continued on when, you know, I left that successful band that band that I thought was going to be successful. I left that because I got someone pregnant. You know, we were going to have kids. I left and relocated to do that because being a father is just important to me as anything else. To 7 weeks after we had our second child, and she picked up and disappeared. You know, to me finding her 6 months later, and trying to make that work. That not working, going through 5 years of a custody battle to win custody of my kids, because you know I am, you know, and that's a rare situation that a father wins custody. So to win custody of my kids and then make that active decision that because I didn't have a mum growing up, it's not fair on my kids that they should have to live through that either. So I'm not going to take complete custody of it. We're going to have to share them. We're going to have to deal with that. And that's just going to have to be a part of my life. That, you know, this person that, you know, hurt me in one of the hardest ways possible, I'm just going to have to deal with forever, even though I have the choice to not have to do that. But that's not what's fair for them. So that's 5 years ago now. My youngest literally turned 10 2 days ago.
Hey, let's go.
It's right, double digits for both of them. I'm halfway there.
Who's counting though, right? Who's counting? I'm not counting.
I am. I have to. Someone's got to remember their birthday. They wouldn't even remember it. Yeah, so that's 5 years ago now, and the hardest part about that is, you know, growing up in the city and growing up where I have opportunities to, now I live under location orders where I'm not allowed to move away from where my kids go to school.
Right.
If I want to, you know, same goes, it's location orders for both of us. If we want to be parents, we need to stay where the kids go to school. Otherwise, the other parent retains custody. So I live in, for lack of a better saying, bumfuck nowhere. One road in, one road out town. It's very small. I kind of feel like that the natural progression of things that has then led me to here is where it is. So we circle all the way back. Yeah, the universe has definitely thrown some challenges my way. How have I had to fight my way out of it? It's constantly fighting, constantly reminding myself. So out of all of that, the hardest struggle has always been, who am I? Who do I want to be in this situation?
Oh my God.
So that's all it came down to. So, and when we again circle all the way back to the first part of this chat, and it's me just wanting to be authentic and represent myself. That's all it is. Okay. Unfortunately, like we are tied to who we are, and very much who our identity makes us. And obviously we have decisions about what we want our identities to be, but we have these intrinsic core identities there. And for me, I break apart and I fall apart if I'm not authentic and allowing myself just to be who I am. So no, I don't, you know, the fight has always been, I feel like the hardest fight has always been, what do I have to do to convince this person that I'm being real?
Ooh.
You know, what do I have to do to convince the universe that I'm being real? What do I have to do to make it okay for me to be myself? And a lot of the times it's, you know, it's just being humble and accepting of the fact that not everyone gets who you are. And with the self-worth side of it, it's like, you know, always wanting to be a people pleaser, but then having to let that go because you can't fucking please everyone. Nor should you want to, because some people are just fuck. So, like, yeah, that's if we just try to, I said, long story short, but it wasn't short, so we might just.
No, that's great. Let's let everybody sit with that and kind of talk a little bit about. I think going back and listening to your stuff, you know, your battle with sort of being unfulfilled, like for example in What's the Point Without Purpose, it grapples with, you know, facing your fears, and the guitar is the only thing that feels like it belongs right here. in my hand writing songs, you know?
Yeah, and for me, the big line, putting out there. So, like I said, I wrote my first song in 2001.
Yeah.
I gave that to my brother on a tape. I recorded that on a little Walkman.
Yeah.
I gave that to my brother, and he would stick it in his car and listen to it every day.
Oh,
Like,
cool, man.
Cool, man. I love it. So there's that,
Yeah, fire.
My big brother literally changed the way I think about myself by being like you are actually really fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about the first album, like, if I just gave you just a straight breakthrough. So, To Hell With It is literally me being like, is literally me embodying that. To hell with it. Fuck it. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, but people need to.
I'm not going to.
I get it, but I did a little bit of research, and I want to talk about this because I don't want to go through this without so I think more than anything else, it's not that you have long hair and that we're around the same age and we're around the same race and we like playing guitar and we have middle names with significant others with the middle name Jane, or we both I could just go on and on and on. We learn how to play.
I mean, all of that helps. But,
yeah. But I found even if you were from Mumbai, I think if you the words it definitely talks about the purpose of music, if you will. And then I think another one that hit me was the one you just brought it up, the substance abuse side of things. I too went through similar experiences with that. Again, this isn't about me, this is about you. Weed's been smoking me. That was pretty good, I must say. What's the point without purpose? I think this is what you were talking about earlier, where that's, really to me, that was about anxiety, and that was about escapism. And dealing with that. And then loneliness as a friend. I thought that was really interesting to me because I've always felt alone, and my song Surrounded and Alone that's me. I always feel that even if I'm surrounded by people, I'm still alone. And so that really caught me, that lyric.
Yeah, so I mean, that Weed's Been Smoking Me, that's the song that a friend of mine, also a producer, took and rewrote. So there's a reimagined version of that's that metal version song that I shared with you. You have a copy of that somewhere in Discord somewhere.
I do.
So it's just that thing as well. If we go back and talk about Lightning in a Bottle, this is probably the only song that I've written with meaningful context that has also, just fluidly also given itself a hook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And it kind of can tick all of those boxes where I'm like, hey, I'm proud of this song and I'm proud of the way that it came out.
Suffering from anxiety and mental fatigue, if you will. Breathe before you die. That was cool. Even my anxiety has anxiety. I just think I don't think most people outside of going and speaking in public for the first time, if you're a kid, you remember what that was like, they're like, hey, we need you to go give a speech. And I'm like, no. Outside of that, I don't think a lot of people who don't suffer from legitimate diagnosable forms of anxiety know what it's like to just be completely at the mercy of your base ganglia. Like you're just stuck way back here in the primitive brain, and you're checked out. Like the rest of who you are is all wrapped up into this crippling sense of anxiety. And I think I write about that a lot, but it was cool. It's always cool to sort of see how other people express it in their stuff.
One thing I didn't mention within when you ask me about my process. So one thing that's important to me, which might make me different from other songwriters, is that I only write about moments. So I'm not, Ed Sheeran.
Oh, that's good to know. No, that's good to know.
Tell a story from the first
You're not like me.
about people,
Yeah.
and etc. and whatnot. No, I only write about specific moments, which is what keeps my lyric content tied to the emotion. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like even like joke songs that I've got coming out that no one's heard. Like, I mean, I think maybe I did share it with you. Like Red Flags. Like it's only tied to a moment. It's just tied to a moment where you're like, okay, these things have happened, and now I'm thinking about whether or not you're a good fit for me, anything like that. So I really try to keep everything strictly to hold that emotion in that moment, because emotions are fluid and they move and they change.
And you want to capture in a song almost like a snapshot of that moment.
And I want to find people that it's only momentary.
Oh, nice. Yeah, see, I'm more of a wallow in it kind of person. I'm more of just sitting in it until somebody else, like Jane says, can pull me out of it. We talked about this earlier, broken relationships, like A Stolen Song and Not Likely, and Broken Trust. I think that came out to me. That's words that I wrote down. It's more likely that I'll only bring you down. Let's see what's some other and then talking about fatherhood, so like talking about being a kid trying to raise a kid, so to speak, right? Because like I know for me, and I think for you too, I don't want to speak for you, tell me, hey, fuck off, but like I think that in our heads we still see ourselves as like the underdog kid, you know what I mean? And everybody's like talking shit, and they're like, nah, this, that, and the other. But it's tough when you have to like then raise a kid, because you're like, no, I'm still a kid. And then you got to grow up really fast, and then you have that discombobulation, if you will. So you have to talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I just explained to you my chosen career path, which is as a teacher, and specifically for ages 0 to 12. So I get to retain that sensibility of being a kid. At the moment, I'm making the decision to stay in early childhood education, which is 0 to 5, not going into primary school, because the ethos behind education is that it's based in play. So I just constantly hold open the door for myself that, hey, I'm allowed to play. I'm allowed to play, and I'm allowed to have fun.
Like that.
I'm allowed to do silly games, and imaginative play and stuff like that is still accessible to me.
You definitely seem like somebody that would be able to relate to, because you seem like a very flushed out character yourself, instead of seeming like an automaton. You know what I mean? Like most of my instructors throughout my life, whatever have been under, and I was just talking to somebody earlier about this, like the quickest way to get me to not listen to you is you be like, what factory did you just come out of? Did you come out of Acme Factory, or did you come out of ABZ Core or whatever? Like Evil Core or whatever? Like these people, they're boring. They don't care. You can tell that they haven't lived like a life. You know what I mean? They haven't been through it, whatever that is. Or if they did, they were totally just like oblivious to the fact that, oh no, I don't know, what are you gonna do? No, man, you're gonna do something about it. Do something about it. Anyways, but like I think I would retain more of what you had to say, and I'm trying to say that is a compliment, because I don't think that the vast majority of people who have been sort of because I was gifted. And they put me in the regular kid class for a little while, and I was always, doing the thing, and I was always in trouble and this, that, and the other. And then they eventually just threw me in with Gen Pop instead of, actually, doing something with that. And then my career and different areas took off. But I think that, going through what you've been through and, kind of seeing that, well, I wrote something down that it just reminded me, it was like, the overall to hell with it is like, I had nothing left but a voice in my head. Take the shot before you get dead. Like, if you say that to a teenager, they're gonna be like, I love you. Whatever you say, I will listen to for the rest of my life. And because one of my favorite teachers stood on top of a desk because he could tell that we were all like bored as shit with what he was trying to sell us, And so he stood on top of his desk and started like yelling at us and shit, just to get the fucking point across, like, this is important. And I think that, like, you earn credibility that way. And I think your chosen career path is going to suit you well for all the stuff that we've talked about up until this point. If I'm just honest, Yeah, man.
I mean, in many regards, work is still work.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And for me, it all just comes back to, am I going to retain the motivation to keep wanting to do this? Because unfortunately, it's not unfortunately, it's fortunately, it's an emotion-based business.
Yes.
Teaching. Like, if you're not in there and you're not there for it, you're the problem.
Yes.
You're one of those teachers that doesn't give a fuck. You're a problem.
I actually thought you were talking about music there for a second, because I could argue both is true.
Both, 100% both is true. Yeah. Again, from a punk point of view, yeah, look, if you don't give a fuck about your own product, then you're selling out.
Right.
If you're not emotionally invested in what you're doing and wanting to make sure that it's yours, then that's a sellout. And unfortunately, that's apparently the worst thing you could ever do in punk rock.
It is. Yeah.
Is sell out to the man. So, we don't do that.
Right. So just breezing past through a couple of things. So what I do in the show is identify a problem, come up with some tools. We talked about some of the problems. We talked about some of the struggles, some of the tools you use to get out of sort of where you were. And then, what's going on in your life. And just going through some of my notes here. I talked about building did you want to talk about some of the it's like Jane was talking about this, I think, in chat, but like, are there tools that you use to help get you from where you are to where you need to be, like that we haven't talked about?
They definitely are. And look, a lot of it is mental gymnastics for someone that's ADHD and hyperfocus. Mental gymnastics is a lot of it. So I do constantly remind myself, and probably the biggest tool for me is reminding myself head, heart, hands. Okay, so
all right.
It doesn't matter how much noise is in my brain, and always in a minute, I can see that question's coming. It's the whatever is in my head, I need to redirect it down to my heart. Whatever my heart says is the thing that I need, I then need to push it to my hands.
All right.
Essentially make it happen. Yeah. So it's just that constant tool, and it comes back to the fight, like just the way you frame it, the fight. And I don't really refer to it as a fight. I would definitely in the past referred to it as a struggle. But it's a process. Yeah, okay. So, if I'm all up in my head, how do I bring that down and how do I tie that to emotion? And then how do I use that emotion to create something?
Nice. Yeah. And then, gosh, I want to get into the science behind that, because then I'd be like, well, what metrics do you set? And then how do you repeat the process using the scientific method? And so anyways, we're going to have you, or I'm going to have you back on, and we can just kind of talk about whatever we want to talk about in the future. But this is like, one of those things. How do you keep yourself grounded? Like, how do you spend time? Like, is there a guilty pleasure you have or anything like that?
Oh, 100%. It's YouTube.
When I'm not streaming, I'm streaming.
Yeah.
So if it's not going one way, it's going the other way.
No, it's not that. It's just honestly just vegging out. So I don't know. I'm obsessed with
Like TED Talks and
Sidemen. No, like just like actually the full long ass fucking videos of people just having fun with their friends. Essentially, it's just that thing, It's weird.
no. So well, if you don't mind telling me who these people are, so I can maybe check them out.
Sidemen is probably the main one. That I
Sidemen.
watch.
Okay.
Yeah, seven British dudes that hang out and
Oh,
do fun
jeez.
shit together.
Cool.
There's the Power Crew, which are the Australian ones, and they're heavily rooted in Fortnite shit. But like, it's just I don't know what it is. It's that thing that I'm not creating, is going out there and creating a social scene for myself. So I put myself into other people's.
Yeah.
Other people's
bit of-
online social scenes.
A little bit of voyeurism, So you've already told me about like so much stuff, and I don't want to skip over anything, but I have a good feeling that I'll have you back on to talk more in depth about different things. But people's attention spans nowadays, right? We talk about identifying the problem, finding tools and the methods, and then actually following through, and that last 5% makes all the difference in the world, And so what would you say if there's someone out there listening right now who is stuck in the same kind of struggle that you went through? Which, by the way, when I said fighting for your life, it's funny because I was conflicted, and then somebody else was like, why don't you call it struggle? I have a problem with the word fight. And I'm like, so are you struggling with the fight, or are you struggling with the struggle of the thing that they so it just went down this weird, linguistic sort of definitionally sort of.
And if you bring it back to your 3 basic adrenaline fueled states,
Yeah.
fight, flight, or freeze,
Right.
choose one.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you should probably most of the time choose fight. Let's be real.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I'm still here. It is the struggle, it is the fight, and it's all that encased in one thing. And we'll have you back on to talk about some lighter stuff maybe sometime.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's in the way of word. Unfortunately, I don't like words. In the way that it's
Same.
hard to convey what you mean, because everyone has a different perception of what certain words can mean.
100%. Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about, metaphorical connotations like we are. But, unfortunately, the word I'm going to use kind of flies in the face of the fight that you're describing. But the main tool and the best advice I can give to anyone for anything is, first things first, embrace it. So I don't know how and let's go back to, you can't solve the problem on the level it was created. It's Einstein. You can't solve the problem if you are the problem and you're in the problem.
Right.
So the best advice I can give, and the thing that's helped me the most, is to embrace it.
Yep.
So embrace it, accept it for what it is, because you stuck on the how, what, when, where, and why of it happening doesn't help you move past that and find a solution. So if we're talking about, problems or whatever that is, if you're stuck, we're talking about struggles or something like that, then essentially negative connotating those things that, it's something that you're trying to get through or get past or get over.
Yeah.
So embrace it. Embrace the struggle. Embrace
Awesome.
the fight. It's counterintuitive. No one wants to do that. You don't want to be like, this is going to be hard and it's going to fucking suck. You don't want to admit that to yourself. You want to push that away and be like, I want to find a way of making it easy. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time going down that path. Just accept that it's going to be hard, and then start thinking about the ways that you can come at it, slowly and surely. And you can then also start thinking about how to look after yourself in those moments as well, because that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Struggles are hard. Struggles cut deep. If you don't look after yourself while you're in it, then the struggle's going to get worse. So
Totally.
Embrace the struggle for the struggle that it is, and find a way to make sure that you put yourself first.
I think a good way that I would say this as well, just on my small part of this part of the conversation, is that there are two things. There's necessary and unnecessary suffering. And when you make the choice to fight back or overcome your obstacle, or however definitionally or grammatically correct some of these metaphors or analogies are, it's essentially you were trying to reduce the amount of negative feedback that contributes to unnecessary suffering. Because necessary suffering builds character, it makes you smarter, it shows you what resistance is, all these sorts of things. Unnecessary suffering just takes away and gives nothing back. It's like my ex-wife. No, it's like I'm just kidding. I don't have an ex-wife. But it's just something somebody said to me once when I was telling them this, is that, you know, it takes everything from you. It doesn't give anything back. You don't really like necessarily learn anything from it. And it's a monster that just has a void, an abyss, almost kind of like a black hole. And but necessary stuff, that's okay. But knowing the difference between the two is extremely important. And so, you know, my contribution to what he said was a little bit more like if we were looking at on a mind mapping thing, it would look more like a specific kind of feedback loop. Like one goes back up and then you can go back up into something positive, and the other one just gets stuck in this never ending cycle of pain, destruction, disillusionment, depression, and everything else. So if you understand that there's going to be a price to pay and a pleasure, you know, get your pleasure for sure. Understand the price, go into it eyes wide open is really important. And then understand that, you know, all your problems are going to be there tomorrow. So even if you try to take something or do something to yourself to make some things go away, they're going to come back. And so you're going to have to understand the suffering part, know the suffering part, get sort of used to that process, and then reduce the unnecessary suffering as much as possible.
Well, yeah, so I am not an optimist. I am not a pessimist either. So that kind of falls me in some middle ground. I like to back myself as a realist.
A realist.
But, I mean,
yeah.
But realistically, the only realist that I am is the one to my own perception of how the world is.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So you were a guy. Real quick, you were a guy who literally does the thing that I'm always telling people to do. That I'm always telling people, it's like you answer solely to the voice of your own consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd love to say that it's all peaches and it's all roses and beautiful gardens, but it doesn't work that way. So when you described of the necessary and the unnecessary, you know, this part down here where you are, if you're down here, like obviously you want to go up here, but you're stuck down here. I've never managed to dig myself out of there unless I've gone all the way down to the bottom. So this is only based, and again, other people's bottoms might be deeper than mine. Other people might not find the resolve to find their way back out of it in the end. The only advice I can give you is based on my own personal experiences, which is if I didn't embrace the fact that I was all the way down the bottom and was hell damn near determined not to go any lower, then I wouldn't have dug myself back out.
So that was your moment you stuck the foot in the ground.
That bad when it was that bad.
Yeah.
Then I would have just kept sinking. Yeah. It's like, I realize how hard this is going to be. I realize how much struggle this is going to be, but like going the other way is not any better.
Agreed. Yeah, because you knew what that was like. You were caught in that. You're like, well, here we go again. You're on the carousel of hell. You just, let's lighten the mood up a little bit and talk about what projects you're working on and what you're excited about to send out to the rest of the world. What do you? I mean, you already alluded it to earlier, but you know, just be happy all over the place. Feel free.
Look, I'm constantly doing shit. I want to be able to say, hey, I'm doing this thing and it's going to be out then, but that's just not how I work. My plan is to release 3 EPs this year, all with a different approach.
All right.
So the first EP is just me being DIY, and had 7 songs on that, and then one of them didn't pan out, so it's kind of thrown a spanner in the works where I've put it on the back burner for over a month, trying to figure out whether or not I do find another song to put in there, or I just skip it and make the EP 1 song less. And then for the first time ever in my life, I would have a song that's made that I would be considering a B-side. Because that's another thing about me, is I don't want to make songs and then not release them. I don't want to hold myself to some standard of being like, okay, it's not good enough to be released. I don't want to ever live in the perpetuated cycle that recording companies have put artists in.
Right.
In which there is a standard they need to upkeep. I'm kind of trying to throw away with the whole expectations of standards in music. You know, the standard is what the artist makes. And if you really love an artist,
like a market,
really love them, then you want to hear every single song they've ever made, good or bad.
That's true.
So I'm trying to not leave any songs behind. So that's been a hard thing for me with that first EP, but the first EP is on its way. I just need to tidy up one last song, and I'm going to send it out with those 6 songs and leave that one as a B-side. And maybe when I put these 3 EPs together as an album or a deluxe edition, then I'll throw the B-sides on there. The second EP, I want to get done and dusted, make sure that's out by April. Sorry, not April, it is April, by August. And then the third EP will get done and dusted and out by December. And do 3 in a year, tracking about 21 songs. The second EP, I would like to have other people help me work on the songs, and have a part in producing the final sound, and thus obviously giving my music a different feel.
For sure.
People's opinions on how they sound. And then the third EP, I was really hoping I could find the money and bring that all together, and I might do some crowdfunding or Patreon support or something like that to get myself into a studio and see what it's like to have that professional experience.
Yeah, on the other, yeah.
So outside of all of that, look, the plan for me is just to do the thing that I do and see it keep reaping the rewards that it has been for me. I'm not a big person for pressure. I don't want to say, hey, big things coming and this and that, because I might change my mind. It's just, it is what it is. Like, if you want someone who's going to keep turning up and keep doing the thing, then that's me.
I enjoy the hell out of you. Everybody that listens to this, hopefully they listen all the way to the end. If you don't, you suck. If you do, you're amazing. There's no in between. I hope they go check you out on Twitch, follow your work, from your 2024 release. And then you've been releasing singles, like you said, out. So the album was To Hell With It. And then Never Ending Storm and Not Likely was released, as well as Cluster Grenades. That was all released this year so far. Go follow them on all the socials and all the things. Was there any closing thoughts you had before we jump off of this luxurious conversation?
I just wanted to glow you up. You said a lot of nice things about me, but like, shit, JJ, like, to come on and see someone. Sorry, let's bring this back around. So my original plan when it came to streaming was to do what you're doing. Was to be just so deep into the songwriting side of music.
No.
What I found was that I felt like I was still lonely in all of that as well, because people come along and I mean, you're doing it better than I am, because you're sitting there having conversations with people who are talking to you about how to, what to do and how to improve what
I'm lucky
doing it.
Yeah.
But for me, sitting down writing music just didn't seem like anyone was there for that. So I was like, just take it back to my bread and butter and just play songs. And then that magically turned into the Fire or Trash segments and the new music segments where I actually get to sit down and check out amazing music and realize I have this incredible community of people who have fucking amazing taste in music.
Yes. I caught one of those, couple of those, and it's like, damn.
Yeah. So, like, I've really, like, it's really fucking cool to see you doing the thing, and gives me confidence that maybe that I can step up and do the thing again. So it's something that now that I'm done with uni, I feel like I have a bit more time to turn around and be like, okay, let's bring up Reaper and let's just sit down for a day on stream and make a song. And to be fair, the song that I'm working on finishing right now started on stream. So it's not as though I don't do it, I don't test the waters. And to be fair, the community gave me the ideas and gave me the lyric ideas and, you know, did all of those things.
Sick.
So it's like, I want to come back to that as well. I want to keep building, I want to keep being accessible to the community. You know, it's not just music comes out, I did this thing, I've been slaving over it for weeks. You know, everyone deserves to have their part of it. You know, everyone that I know in the community, and sure same goes for you, loves music.
Yes.
So how can I extend my love of music to everyone else's love of music and have them enjoy it as well? I really love that when I come to your stream, that's what you're doing.
I appreciate the compliment. You know, I didn't know how many people were going to vibe with that. I share my process with people, and I share it in a way that's scary and in a way that like is recorded and that they can snapshot and they can use against me later. And I want people to be like, oh, okay, all right, I see you. I see how you did that. And then like help people along, because to me, that's what it's about sharing and all this other kind of stuff. And I think that I think that all the I'm not going to say blessed, but I think I've been a light shine on me or whatever, a positive. But you put out what you get in and all the rest. But a lot of people have come across after I made a bunch of mistakes. A lot of people came out of the woodworks, it feels like, from all around the world, and it's just like, and now I want to do so. Like more people are doing that, and that's the greatest. That's the like closest thing to happiness that I can feel without it hurting a lot. Because it's just my own the how I process emotions and different stuff like that. But it's truly an honor, and I respect the hell out of people who then go out there and do a thing, and they're just like, by the way, I don't even want money. I just want people to say, hey man, you inspired me to do this thing. And I'm just like, job well done. Check. You know, box checked, you know? So you saying that is like the ultimate compliment. So that's, I really do appreciate that.
It's a funny line. You've said it to me before, the whole, what are you afraid of, failure or success?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what about the gray area in between?
Everybody loves gray areas.
well, that's what I mean. So, like, I think about what I'm doing now, and I'm like, you know, and it's another thing that you say that's stuck in my head, and I'm like, I need to figure out more what that means. Metrics.
Yeah.
So, what's my measure of success?
Yeah.
And if I was to look at it now, it would be like, look, in some regards, I can measure the success because I enjoy my community. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's rewarding. It's fulfilling. It supports itself, you know, financially. You know, the things that I need to spend money on when it comes to, you know, your fucking renewable, your monthly subscriptions, the video editing software, plugins.
Totally.
You name it, you know, all the bells and whistles that come with it.
All the cogs.
You know,
all the cogs.
It supports itself, and therefore, you know, the guitar strings. Holy shit!
I watched you break one the other night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's every week. Yeah, so like that's a decent measure of success.
Yeah.
The fear of that success escalating is that I would lose some of that. You know, you go there and you do it as well. You know, you see people with hundreds of people on their stream watching.
Yeah.
Where's the community engagement there?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much chat, there's so much going on, that it starts to feel impersonal then.
Very.
It just becomes more of a show and less of a, you're vibing with people. So
a human experience.
Real about it and be like, yeah, I'm here for the human experience. I'm here for the social side of what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I'm going to need to measure the success.
I would much rather be in front of 5 people who are just in it with me than 5,000 people who are just talking about whatever randomly is, going on.
There's other cool sides to that as well. Like, there's a bunch of people that are hype on this new song that's just came out. But hey, I'm not there scrolling through the social media and, I might follow their page, but I never clicked on Facebook, so I didn't see their posts.
Right.
So I'm glad that you guys are, so that you can bring it up and then we can all share that moment of checking out that song together.
That's the difference. Yep. That's where it changes. Because then you put them in the driver's seat again of their executive function. Yeah, I always have a great time watching you. I have a great time, even better time talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and congratulations on all the overcoming of obstacles in your life, as well as recently submitting your paper, like you said. And I just respect the hell out of you, and I'm looking forward to whatever future you have, and then whatever our shared future is. I think it's going to be, I think we're going to do something cool together one day musically as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
One day soon, JJ. That 3 weeks is up, my dude.
Yeah, you're right. Oh shit.
Time to go.
All right. Yeah, you're right. You'll have to tune into stream, and I'll kick it on, and I'll be like, oh, here we go. Yeah. We're in it. This is the song. We're doing it. But I couldn't have done it without Tommy, and I couldn't have done it without all you guys following me and either lurking or, every once in a while just being like, hey, man, I see you doing your thing, man. And I respect the shit out of it. And so, I appreciate you.
I respect and appreciate you too, dude. This has been really cool. It's been actually, again, genuinely enjoyed just sitting down having a chat with you. And yeah, it's just really cool to find someone else who is just so invested in, who's right there in the music, the music as a pivotal part of life and identities.
It's the tip of the spear for me. So, yeah. Absolutely. Well, for everybody watching this stream, I'm going to go ahead and shut her down and then say my goodbyes and that. But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great and wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone.